What's the name of your company again?
Green Oak Accounting.
CEO.
You have it here. I'm going to send this to you in the chat. This is what your team, I think Angela maybe sent over.
Hello, hello, hello. I think but no one can see it yet. Julie, talk to me. How are you?
Great. How are you, Adam?
Doing good. I'm in the I'm in the South and we're not known for our weather, but the weather's been great.
This is like your slice of perfect weather
Yes,
of
we
the
have like
year.
this little window. It's like gonna get really hot. It's gonna get really hot here in a couple weeks, but it's been like 60 degrees in the morning and then it like warms up. The sun comes out and then it warms up to about 75. So it's been really
That's a
cool.
perfect day as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, perfect day. Perfect day. I'm super grateful to have you. I know that we first connected in New Orleans, right? At our
Yes.
at our workshop. We did our annual strategic planning workshop. You gave a really cool presentation. We had an opportunity to connect just prior to your talk. I think it was like maybe at one of the breaks. We had a little table. We were at a round table, and me, you, and Nathan were talking business. And I was just really impressed by the way that you understood entrepreneurship and really understood the practice owner from a financial perspective, which is like we don't know that stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
You didn't go to
So
school for that.
no, we didn't. We didn't. So it was just really cool to like, when you have a really great conversation around business and finance and like it's really fun and I appreciate whenever I get to sit down and talk to somebody who knows what the heck they're talking about. And so I was really impressed with you. I thought it would be awesome to do a quick live video and introduce you to our audience on Facebook and just share a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and then maybe the book that you've written. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we have Julie. How do you say your last name, Julie?
Harris.
Julie Harris from Green Oak Accounting, CEO.
Yeah.
You guys are an accounting firm. Work primarily with practice owners, probably a few other people, and you wrote a really cool
Exclusively
book.
with practice owners. We actually don't work with
Exclusively,
exclusively
guys,
with practice owners. Yeah.
exclusively with practice owners. So this lady understands practice owners. Her and her team, they get you. So today
Yeah.
we're going to talk about money. And Julius, thanks for being here today.
Yeah. Really glad, very, very glad to be here.
So I'm going to kind of give you the floor. I'd love to hear like if you can maybe just like introduce yourself a little bit and then tell us what you would really enjoy talking about today and what you feel like practice owners need to know about finance and accounting and all that stuff.
Yeah. Perfect. So I'm Julie. Nice to be here. Hi, everyone. I am first and foremost an accountant. I'm a lover of numbers, right? So I actually am not a practice owner. I cannot do the magical things that you all do, but I feel like my role in the world is to help the helpers. So when I started my accounting firm 10 years ago, we kind of worked with everyone, right? And I think you'll relate to this, Adam. Like when you work with everyone, sometimes you specialize in nothing, right? You can be a jack of all trades, master of none. And so because it was my firm, I decided like, you know what, I really want to have those deep relationships. I want to help on a really meaningful level. And I can't do that if I'm working with a restaurant and a solar panel company and a car dealership. Like that just doesn't work. I can't know all of those industries really, really well. So
Hmm.
we focused in really early. And at that point, we were working with practice owners. Like those are the people we really loved working with. I had a small team at that point. Um, you're all highly educated, very knowledgeable, just not in this particular space, right? And so there was a real need for understanding what's going on in the finances, what's going on under the hood. And because you're all very smart people, you're also very much able to go implement the things once you know what it is that you're supposed to be doing, right? And so that's kind of how ultimately Green Oak was founded, and it has become what it has now. We're a team of over 35 team members. We serve practices all across the United States. We work in all 50 states, and we really have this incredible team that works hand in hand, right, with practice owners. So the things that you don't know is the accounting, the finance, like what is a balance sheet supposed to be like? what does it even mean? Like, what are all of these things, right? And of course, if you're a more experienced practice owner, like you have probably figured some of this out, right? But there's a lot of loneliness at the top for the
Mm,
CEO when you're making those big important financial decisions, right? The ones specifically with lots of zeros behind them.
mhm,
Like, is this the right thing? Is it the right time? Like, there's not a lot of people who have the whole context of your whole business, right? Who have
mhm.
seen the tax return, who have seen the financials, who know what you have said is important to you, what your goals are. And so we can often be that thought partner as well, where we're doing the monthly accounting, the bookkeeping, the tax prep. Of course, like those are the things that have to be done, but we can help in a much more meaningful way with things like compensation decisions, or is it time to add leadership, or do we need more admin? Like sometimes you're just kind of guessing, or asking your colleagues what they have done, and you're not really making those decisions based on data. And that's where we can really come in and be very helpful, because we have the data. We can show you what's going on in your practice, but also share with you best practices from the industry as well.
Why did you decide to land on, I mean, obviously, because we're awesome,
Of
private practice.
course.
I mean, but besides being really awesome, why did you land on, why private practice owners? Like, what
Yeah.
really drew you to that space?
Well, at that point, when I was really, really making that decision, I had a handful of practice owner clients who had all come to me through referral. And so, sometimes you start with a client, you do good work, they refer their friends to you, right? That's ideal, that's great. And so those just were our favorite clients. And so that's ultimately how it started. My sister-in-law is a PT, so I have that in my heart as well, right? So like there's some connections, but ultimately it's just those are the clients that my team and I liked to work with. I hire people who tend to have the heart of a teacher. We like that relationship where you're not just throwing us the keys and running away, and like we can never get in
Mm,
touch with you and get the information that we need. Like that just wasn't the kind of relationship that we were looking for. We wanted to be collaborative, and we want you to understand what's going on in the practice. And so that's just how we landed there.
yeah, really cool. And what is it that you're seeing right now in what kind of trends or yeah, maybe trends is the right word, are you
Yeah.
seeing right now, let's say over the last 12 to 24 months that that you feel is really important for practice owners to truly understand? Like, how is the market shifting? And
Yeah.
I'm kind of giving you like take it wherever you want to go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a couple of things that I want to mention here is one, it's still very, very much possible to do well in private practice, right? Like that is still possible. But where I think things have shifted in the last few years is it's no longer accidental. There were some years
Hmm.
where you could just accidentally, like, oops, I'm making $1 million. Look at like all
Yeah,
the things
that'd
that
be
we're
nice.
doing here, right? And like, and there's plenty of money left over and it's profitable without you really making that much of an effort, right? There was a time where that was possible. That day is not today. So the place where we are now, it's still very much possible, but it is very much an intentional decision. It
Yeah.
is you in the CEO role looking at the things that are important, measuring and making decisions based on actual data and not just feeling, right? The industry is getting crunched, right?
Mm,
Top pressure. There's insurance reimbursements are not changing for the most part. In some cases, they're actually going down. That doesn't mean that your team's not asking for more money, right?
totally.
And that's a tough place to be. So you've got that pressure from both sides. And so those decisions that you make that have a long-term impact, they just have to be based on what's ultimately best for the practice. Um, my personal opinion, and it carries through my company, is that as the CEO, your primary responsibility is to ensure the survival of the practice,
Mm,
right? That's the goal. Of course, there are a lot of micro goals within that, but if you're doing that, that is in the best interest of the patients, that is in the best interest of the team, of the community, of everyone around you. But you can't make a decision that's great for one clinician, but that's not good for the business, right? And so
mhm.
that's part of the hard part of just being a business owner. You've got to think about what's best for the business, and sometimes that's an unpopular opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we spoke about this, but um there was a guy by the name of Blaine Stymack who spoke at our conference back in last year, and just a really impressive guy. And I think he owns like 40 or 50 clinics, so he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he really led with in his talk was that owners must learn how to develop a finance first mindset, which is like such a hard thing to do. I don't know if it's unique to just this. I would say that it's probably not unique to this industry. I'd say it's probably all small business owners, but maybe just a little bit more so in our industry, just because we are such a loving and
Yes.
empathetic profession
Yeah.
that we tend to be a little bit more self-sacrificing and a little more people-pleasing, and it feels greedy and it feels mean and selfish to think about making money for yourself and for the
Yeah.
business. Does that make sense? Like how do you like work through that? Because I'm sure there's a lot of mindset stuff that kind of gets in the way for
Yeah.
with you and your clients.
Yeah, yeah, there is, and that's part of why I kind of start with that, right? Your responsibilities to the business, because when you can center your decisions that way, it really helps with everything else, right? Because what we often will see happen, right? Owner will start on their own, right? Just treating, doing the admin. We're like start a practice, right? Rarely you're starting with like 3 or 4 clinicians on day one. So then you're hiring your buddy they used to work with, right? You want them to come over, work with you, maybe paying them a little bit too much
Oh
because
yeah,
you
yeah,
want them
for
to come
sure.
over. You
Uh-huh.
feel bad, like, oh,
Uh-huh.
I want to, like, I can't offer benefits, so let me offer them as much as I possibly can. And that comes from a great place of kindness, right? Because you want to do right by them, but it does not consider the fact that like this is not scalable, right? If you hire 3 people at this rate, like you're going to need an intake person or a biller, right? Like you're going to need additional space and services that you have not built into this comp model. So there usually is a reckoning in the first probably 3 to 5 team members of like, oh wait, this isn't going to work. You as the owner are working harder than ever and staying up till midnight, submitting billing, right, and like doing all the things and treating, and you're making as much or less as you did on your own. Like that happens to a lot of people and there's no shame in it, but like there, to get past that point, you do have to do some financial soul searching in a way
Yeah.
and just figure out like, okay, what's going to make sense for me in my life, and like what's going to be sustainable, because you can't work 100 hours a week forever, right? Like, or
Hmm.
most people cannot, and still be good at it. So like something has to change, and there's a reckoning at that point. So to get beyond a certain point, like you've got to figure a lot of the basics out, and sometimes you're going to be able to do that on your own, and sometimes you're going to find the right team of professionals around you, surround
Yeah.
yourself with the PPO club, a great accountant, a great attorney, and like figure out some of the basics with them so that you can get to that next level. But yeah, it's very common in a helping profession. You're like, well, I don't need to make a lot more money when I hire this next person. So like, let's just see what happens. But that's ultimately a path for like burnout and also resentment towards the business.
Mm.
If you're making like so commonly, I see it happen where the owner's actually making less once they have a team than when they were on their own, and that's crazy. Like we cannot operate a business that way long term. Yeah,
Yeah.
you see that? Do you see that?
Oh, for sure. I see it in myself, honestly. I think that I tend to be, I have to work hard at preserving the, I tend to like want to give and want to kind of overextend
Yeah,
what's objective reality. So like I'm constantly trying to protect the business from myself, honestly. You know what I mean? Like I have to like use the numbers as a tool to give myself a decision making budget.
yeah,
If I don't have that, like I don't trust myself. You know what I mean? Like I'm not smart enough to make those decisions on the fly. Like I need that feedback because I'm a knucklehead. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
I totally get that. So one of the like little known things, I'm going to let you know a little secret. A lot of our clients will use us as, as the punching bag. So like we are guilty for a lot of things. So they'll say like, hey, clinician, great question. Let me get with our accountant and see, and talk it through. And so they'll come back to us and like, I don't think I should give them a raise or whatever it may be. And like, okay, just blame it on us. It's not a big deal. Like we're over here, you're over there. Like we can be the bad guy. It's not a big deal, but this is the right decision for the business, right? Like, yeah, I know. Okay, like then we can be the bad guy. Not a problem at all. Like that can sometimes remove some of that emotion, right? In the discussion and the conversation. But if you're going into that conversation knowing like this is the right thing for the business, this is what I know I need to do, like just shoving a little bit of the guilt over to your accountant is completely fine.
um, thank you for sharing that. I had something really important I wanted to ask you, and then I was going to ask you about your book. Give me 1 second to think. You were telling me about the challenges, the numbers. Yeah, so kind of going back to me using the numbers to basically filter my decisions.
Yeah.
I feel like that is my experience for myself and for the clients that we work with. I feel like that is the number one most important thing to start with. And I'm not even saying this because you're a numbers person, but I think it's more important than your culture. I think it's more important than you as the owner. Like I
All
feel like
right.
you have to know your numbers. Like nothing matters if you have a hole in the boat, you know, like, and the boat is actively sinking. Like it doesn't matter how much you care, it doesn't matter how
Yeah,
hard you work, the boat's going down. You know what I
that's
mean?
true. Yeah.
So I don't mean that none of those things are important, but I feel like the foundational, like you mentioned, like the number one role of the CEO is to preserve the business,
Yeah.
right?
The
And
profitability, the
the
sustain, just like
the sustain, like, and
profitability is like we live in like I need to work in order to feed my family, right? Like
uh-huh.
that's my reality. Like for most of us, unless we have a trust fund, maybe you do, I do not. Like
Me neither.
that is, I want to do good and I want to help people. Like that is absolutely definitely on the table, but like most people need to work to survive,
Yeah.
right? And that's that's okay. Like the business has to make money in order for that to be possible, right? If we're running a business into the ground, like at some point that business ceases to exist,
Yeah.
and then you got to figure something else out or go work for someone else, right?
For
Like
sure.
those are kind of the option. Like there's not this magical pot of money that's coming to save you at some point. Like you don't want to take a second mortgage on your house because you can't make payroll. Like those are not good things, like things that are going to end well.
Mm.
And so yeah, I mean, I completely support your point, but like the business has to make money in order to survive. And that like
Mhm.
that might feel crass sometimes because you're helpers as a profession, right? Like you want to help people and that's a beautiful thing. But like in our society, you also have to make money. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, or I mean, you don't have to make money. You're just going to be broke forever, and that's fine too if that's what you want. But most people don't want that. You know, they
Yeah.
want to at least have a little bit of
Yeah.
financial freedom. You know, but I feel like if there's one thing, if for owners that listen to this, if there's one single thing, if you're struggling financially, especially, the single uh number one most influential antidote to that problem is to confront the objective reality of your business. Like create a tool, or work with somebody like Julie who can help you brutally confront the objective facts of your business, because that hurts when you see the truth. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's
Yeah.
only that pain or that discomfort of seeing that boundary that will force you to actually create budgets in your decision making process. So, and I think that's a beautiful thing that allows owners to grow and empower their team and grow their business. So, hopefully, the owners will resonate with that. But
Yeah.
I want to talk about your book.
Yeah.
So, what
That's
do
a
you mean?
perfect segue to the book because
Yeah,
the
what do you mean profit
numbers,
first? You trying? What are you talking about profit first? What is
yeah.
all that about?
Yeah. So actually the book is right here. My book is called Profit First for Therapists. So it is a cash flow management system. And one of the things that I generally recommend, just in my firm, but also to our clients, is it's a good idea to sit down and look at what's going on in the practice, and definitely at least once a month, but sometimes even more often, right? And so this is a really simple cash flow management system, because to manage the money in and out, right? Like, that's ultimately, cash is king. You
Yeah.
need money to make payroll, to pay rent, to do all the things that need to happen in the business. And so managing that cash is really important. But when you're looking at the bank account and you're not sure, like, how much do I actually have available? Like, is my credit card payment coming up? Did it just happen? Like, what, how much is actually available? Is some of this tax money? It's not really clear. And so what ultimately Profit First does is it turns the traditional accounting equation upside down. Whereas if you're looking at a profit and loss, you're going to see income minus expenses equal profit. And then we turn that upside down and say income minus profit equals expenses. So we're carving out profit from the very beginning to make sure that there always is profit. That means you're going to have less money available to spend. But when that happens, you typically are going to just automatically spend less, but also get more creative, right? In how you're spending the money. If you
For
know kind of
sure.
what's available,
Yeah.
you can work within that, right?
Or you can, yeah, it's gonna force constraint, right?
Yeah. And so the way we do that is with multiple bank accounts.
Mm.
And I know it sounds a little bit crazy the first time you hear it, but it totally works. Because here's the thing, like, Adam, when is the last time that you looked at your business bank account on your phone?
I don't do it very much.
You don't do it very much. Okay.
I don't. I look at it on the computer.
Okay. So, like, when's the last time you looked on the computer then?
Yesterday.
Okay. Yesterday. Right. So when you did that, like, were you making a financial decision?
No, not really. Just kind of looking at
kind of
just looking at the numbers,
checking how things are
see
going.
if I should feel good about the day or not.
Okay. Like, is today a good day or not? Okay. Did you also look at your profit and loss on your balance sheet at the same time?
No.
No. Okay. So, and that's most business owners, right? That's super normal. That's what we call bank balance bookkeeping as accountants. So you're just looking at your bank balance, like, is it a good day? Is it a bad day? By how much money is in the bank, right? But what that number doesn't give you is all the context around, like, how much of that is for taxes? How much of that is for payroll next week? How much do you have actually earmarked for yourself, right? Like, it doesn't show you all of those things. So in Profit First, we use 6 bank accounts to earmark funds for all the really important things in your practice. And that means, like, when you're logging into the bank on your computer, on your phone, I use the phone most often, at an immediate glance, right? Like, that same glance of what's in there, you can see, like, how much is earmarked for each thing. Because the truth is, most people are not looking at their financial reports when they're making decisions. They're looking at their bank balance. And so you immediately have the context that you need for that. And so the 6 bank accounts, we have an income account. All the dollars from your practice are coming into that account. So all the insurance payments, copays, whatever it may be. Typically, your existing checking account becomes your income account, because we don't want to disrupt those deposits, right? So just all the cash coming into one bank account. And then on a regular cadence, typically on a weekly basis, you're going to look at how much money is in that account and divide it between the 5 other accounts, which are operating expenses. That's the account that you're going to use for your rent, your dues, your liability insurance, credit card payment, right? Kind of the more discretionary things, your EMR, whatever. Then we have a payroll account. That's where you connect your payroll software. From that account is coming all of your payroll. So wages, payroll tax, benefits, workers' comp, the things related to payroll, but all of the items related to payroll. And we have a separate account for that, because in a practice, typically payroll is going to be your single largest expense, right? And is that the case in your practice?
100%.
Yeah, like by a lot, right? So by giving it its own account, we can monitor, like, if something is off, we know exactly where it is, right? Like, oh, all of a sudden that payroll account is tight. Like, oh, what's going on there? Why is that? What is happening with it, right? So it's a tool that you also can use to diagnose. So I've told you about 3 accounts so far: income, operating expenses, and payroll. Then we have 3 bank accounts that directly benefit the owner. So we have an owner's pay account, we have a profit account, and a tax account. So in most practices in the US, most are going to be pass-through entities. That's a S corp, partnership, LLC, right? So the profit passes through to the personal tax return where it is then taxed. So the business technically doesn't pay tax at the federal level, but it doesn't mean that it can't earmark funds for your taxes when they are
Mhm.
due, right? Like, so that's not coming out of your personal cash flow. Like, we work with practice owners of all sizes. Some might have a $5,000 quarter tax payment. Some might have $150,000 quarter tax payment, right? So we're just earmarking money so that when that tax payment is due, boom, you just transfer the money, write the check, right? Direct pay, whatever it may be. It's not coming out of your cash flow. And that profit account is really meant to be an extra reward for you for being the owner of the business, right? We use that as part emergency fund, part reward. That you might sometimes use that for reinvesting in the business as well, but it's kind of above and beyond your, day-to-day living expenses, like your baseline living expenses, extra cash meant for you. So sometimes that might be for a trip, it might be for something fun or special. It's kind of this nice, like, thanks, Adam, for being a business owner and taking on all this risk above and
Mhm.
beyond what
Mhm.
you get paid. So that's, like, in a super high level nutshell how we operate the system. But you can see how with all of those different bank accounts, like, when you're logging in, you're not wondering, like, oh, is this money for payroll? Is it for this? Is it for that? Like, if you're wanting to make an investment or buy something or piece of equipment, like, you kind of know already what you have to work with. And that just makes decision making a lot simpler. It also means when you're logging in once a week to look at what's going on, transfer money between accounts, right? That takes about 5 minutes, but it's still time that you're spending looking at, like, is this number what I was expecting?
Mhm.
Is it lower than I was expecting? Is it higher? Are we going in the wrong direction? Are we not going in the wrong direction? I've had clients self-diagnose a billing issue just by looking, that number is way lower than it should be because it's only income in that
Mhm.
income account. It's not mixed in with your credit card payment, your rent payment, all the other things. So you can really clearly see, what is my baseline? So if you're expecting $80,000 a week and all of a sudden there's a $65,000 week, like, something is up, and you can go on a fact finding mission much sooner than if it's all mixed together. It might take you weeks longer to figure out something is going on. So there's a lot of diagnostic power in seeing that split out really, really clearly.
That's awesome. What's funny is I've read Mike McCullough's book, and I tried to do the Profit First, an Adam version of the Profit First
Yeah.
program with my original accountant, and he hated it. He was like, "Oh my God, this is so much work." It's like it made his job harder, apparently. But he's no longer with me, by the way.
Yeah. I
Um,
don't believe it for a second.
right. So like it's really interesting to hear an accountant be open to that level of complexity because it's the right disciplined way to actually manage your money. You know what I mean? So it's really cool to hear that. Um, I wish we had more
And Adam,
time.
to that point, like, I think it is, sure, it is a little more work on the accounting side, right? Because there's just more accounts, more transfers. But I I just know from experience, like, when your client as an accountant, you tell them, like, here's how much you owe on your tax return, and they have that sinking moment of, like, wait a second, I already spent all that money, like, it's gone, I don't have that. And that feeling they have, and, like, I felt that deeply as well, right? Like, that's not a great feeling for anyone involved. Or the first time someone can't make payroll, like, those are really terrible situations to be in. So just to be in a position where, we will tell our client, like, here's how much you owe, and they're excited about it because there's more than that in their tax account. Like, that's a
Yes.
great feeling. We're like, you owe 75,000. Great, I have 90 in that account. That means I get a bonus. Amazing. I like, that is worth any additional work that it
For sure.
is to get to that place where, like, the client, the business owner, they know that they're going to be okay, and they're prepared for whatever comes their way.
That's awesome. So you have a website, you've got some stuff, like you're obviously really great at what you do. There's tons of people in this Facebook group that would benefit from at least sitting down and talking with your team to
Yeah.
see if maybe you could help them. Where do they find you? Where do they find your information?
Yes. So the best place to find us is greenoakaccounting.com. So green oak, like the tree, accounting.com. We always offer, Adam, a free consultation with our team just to see if we're a good fit. So we'll find out about your practice, tell you
Yeah.
about our services, and if it's a good fit, there we'll discuss ways that we can work together. And so that's probably the best place to start. It's a um, low risk. Like you're just taking a couple minutes of your time to see if it could be a good fit. I also have from the website, we have a lot of different blog posts, and you can get in touch with my podcast, which is Therapy for Your Money. You can find the book resources as well. So we just have a lot of educational resources for practice owners out there to make sure that they know what's going on in their practice.
For those who are listening, I'm gonna drop links to all your stuff in the comments. And I'm also gonna throw this on the YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, you can check out the show notes. You'll see all of Julie's links. Make sure you book a call with her. She's like really sharp. She's about her business, and I feel like she could probably help you. Julie, thank you so much.
So good to see you, Adam. Thank you so much.
Have a good one. I'll talk soon.